Welcome and thank you back to the fourth installment in this From Scratch series. After doing a little bit of practicing and toying around, I have managed to achieve that which I said I would make this video in. So let's get started. In the previous video, I showed you how to make the third-person character blueprint, as you can see right here, and we managed to walk around with it, as you can see, like this. We can move the camera around, he still moves around, he has some fun animations. He doesn't jump or anything yet, but that's something we'll do in a later video. Cat. Okay, sorry, I gotta move my cat a minute. Okay, now what we're going to do in this one is we are actually going to delete that out because we do not need it. So force delete. We're going to re-update the game mode to reflect the Scratch character. We're going to compile and save that. So we should be back to the first person view now. As you can see, yes we are. Alright. So now what we're going to do is we need to first take and in this folder here, we need to import the character we're going to be using, which is actually the full body version of the FPS character that I use. Again, all this will be made available via a downloaded file that you can get from either this video or the second video where the FPS character actually comes in at. Again, ignoring that message. Now we're going to take the contents of these and we're going to go ahead and actually delete them so that we can put this new information in these. So we're going to get all this out while it compiles the shaders. First delete those. And then force delete skeletons and mesh. Okay, so now with that done, we're going to get all this, and that, and that, all of that into our meshes folder, or our materials folder. And then we're going to take the other three items, we're going to bring them into the mesh folder, and copy in. Okay. Now we're going to import the three animations that we want to use. We want to use the rifle idle, the sprinting forward anim, and that. In the previous videos, the sprinting forward actually brought in the model itself as well. I have since fixed that, and that file is in will be in there as well. Again, adjust them to the new skeleton. All right. As we can see, we have them all linked to the new third person thing. Now we're going to go over here to the animations folder. I'm actually going to duplicate this, and at the end of this, I'm just going to call it TPP. Drag it on over here to animations. Move it to there. All right. Now what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to. Did I actually get a step ahead of myself? I may have gotten a step ahead of myself here. Yep, I got a step ahead of myself. Alright, so we're going to actually delete that. We don't need to copy it. We need to make a new one. It won't take long to make it since we already have all the information we need. So we take all that. Scratch, anim. Alright. Now we're going here. We're going to do all the fun stuff that we need to do. And I now have a cat on my shoulder again. Connect that up. Sprinting. And I'm not going to bother renaming these just for the sake of time. So, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video while I redo this. This is the exact same setup as it was for the FPP one. So just go ahead and copy that, redo it all through here, including the you want to include the event graph and all that as well. Otherwise, none of the markers will work. And as soon as I get done with that, I'll be... Alright, welcome back. Now we have all that done, and all of the animations should be set up and in place. We can go ahead and close out of everything. Now, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to actually add, you can do one key or you can do two keys. For the sake of this, I'm doing two keys. And what we're going to use is, I'm just going to call these you change TPP and you change FPP. Alright, and I'm going to use the mouse scroll wheels. Okay. Alright. And now that's done. You again action mappings, the plus sign, make your two, make your buttons. Alright. Now we're going to go into the blueprints. Okay. And we'll get to the scripting here in a minute. Now, here's where things are going to get a little fun. Okay. We're going to create a camera. We're going to call this TPP cam. Not can M, but can. Alright. And then we're going to add a skeletal. And we're going to call this TPP char. Alright, now, for the camera, this requires a little bit of toying around. I already know exactly where I want mine. So, just give me a second to set it up here. Oops. 40. 50. Alright, sorry about that. The girlfriend had an important phone call. Alright, so once you get the second camera positioned where you want it, you can just pretty much ignore it from there. Okay. Now, this is where the fun part comes in. The same way we added the mesh of the first person character, we're going to add the mesh of the third person. Okay, so we go in here, add it in the character mesh, place it where we want it. And that. Go ahead and give it the animation. Now, something I did in the test one, you don't have to do it, but I did it just for sake of argument, is I actually overlapped my arms so that everything looks the same between the first person and third person setups. So hit save and file. Now, go ahead and reselect your third person one. Scroll all the way down in your details panel so you get to rendering and then select hidden in game. Now, you'll still see it in the thing, but when you play the game, you will not see it. Alright. Next thing we're going to do, and this is the last thing we have to do, is we have to make an event for us tripping the buttons, the mouse wheels in this case. Alright, so we're going to select that one, and we're going to select the other one. Okay. Go to the blueprint because we're going to need, or no, components because we're going to need some stuff from here. Alright. Now, what we're wanting to do here is we're going to take and bring in one thing, make another one hidden. Alright, so when we switch to the first person view, we want to activate first person. So we're going to bring in the first person character. We're going to need the camera. We're going to need the third person character, and we're going to need the third person camera. Okay. Set all that out. Now, we're going to need to just type in hidden. You'll see set hidden in game. Okay. Now, on the first person character, you do not need to do anything. You can Control C, Control V that. You want to, then on the third person one, you want to hide that one. Okay. Now, under the camera, you want to activate this camera. You don't need to mess with the reset or nothing. and then under the third person camera you want to deactivate. Okay? And then hook that up. Now what that's going to do is when you push your button, you're going to get out of third person view and go into your first person view. Now we can Control C, Control V that down here. Alright, and now what we want to do is we want to hide the first person, show the third person, back that up. Okay, and right here we have to change these to where that connects to that, because we want to activate the third person camera and deactivate the first person camera. So now we hit compile, we hit save, we hit play, we still see our first person, there's our first person, we hit the mouse wheel back, there's our third person, there's him running around with animation, hit mouse wheel forward, we're back to first person, and you can just keep doing this all day long. And then he falls off. And that is how you flip back and forth between first person and third person in your blueprint, using the same blueprint for the first person as you are for the third person, and simply not using multiple blueprints for the same character of multiple viewpoints. So I hope you enjoyed that video. In the next video, we're going to give this guy some jumping. We're going to put in a bigger world, so he's got a little bit more movement to run around in. And we're going to add a sprinting feature and get our HUD all set up so that we can start running some ammos for weapons and start running some health and all that kinds of fun stuff. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Stay tuned.